Live stream. Yes, 110th.
Ooh,
110th. We are
that's a
somewhere
big number.
there. Today we have the usual crowd of Alley Claw
Yes, that's me. Hello.
and Fluffy's Eye.
Beep boop.
And,
Hello.
oh god, he's a robot.
Oh no.
And me, living dead.
I
The
need
Zom
to I
Zom.
need to pretend that I know how to talk to people, so I have to emulate it. I am actually just a robot.
So
Wait.
the usual gist is there. If you have art, please submit it. If you don't have art, please submit it. No, wait.
Please submit.
Submit your hugs to our
Yes.
PO box.
Yeah. And I see Purple Horse in our chat. So, Purple Horse, if the real Purple Horse could please stand up, please stand up. Please stand
Please,
up.
please stand, please.
we have we have chosen one of your pictures to do. You submitted a bunch of them, so I'm gonna have to quickly talk to you, Purple Horse. I don't know if you got the Reddit message, but
Oh,
we love you submitting a lot of pictures. It's great. We love seeing progression, but you gotta slow down. You gotta you gotta let this stuff be
That's
brought
great.
in, internalized. You gotta take that critique and really work on it. There is no way in this side of Equestria or any other that you're going to manage to take all the critique that you got in a week and pound through it all and fix it all. There's just no way.
Absorb it all.
And if you do, holy crap, you are an art
You
god.
are a robot.
So what we would like
people.
to see from you, submit once a week if you want. That's completely fine. Um, Progression. Ask questions every time. And my suggestion is start critiquing other art. Plenty of other art on the subreddit. Why we want you to critique other art? Because it's freaking great. You get to learn so much by critiquing other art. You don't even have to critique it all. Just
Yeah.
grab a segment. Be like, your main, I'm going to critique your main today. And you talk for 10 minutes about their main, or, 2, 3 lines, something.
Mm.
You try and give some input that makes sense to you, that you
Do a
have
little
worked
red
on.
lining scribble.
And if it's not something you've worked on, that's fine too, because you can work on it then. Be like, why is this wrong? Why do I think this is wrong? Start asking those questions.
Because the thing is, when you're doing your own art, it's so hard to actually see your art, like what's right and what's wrong. So when you look at other people's, it is a lot easier to sort of break it down.
CPC, I have no clue how you mute the stream. There's probably a button on the mobile app. Um,
I'm not too familiar with mobile art.
I could open it. let's say this. So we're gonna do purple horses. They're the Twilight in the car, so that's the one we've chosen. Hopefully, they're listening.
We pray. If you're on mobile, you can just turn off the phone's volume if you can't find the volume on the app.
True.
Maybe they're listening to something else at the same time,
True.
like an audiobook.
Why are you listening to an audiobook when you should be arting with us?
Porque no los dos.
Do all three.
Oh, porque no los tres.
By the way, do we have an egg yet today? Is that happening? Or is that not happening?
It's not happening. I got caught
Yeah.
up in sewing.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Are you sewing an idol to me? Just like a giant
Yes.
fluffy idol?
I'm working on the fifth Zom Zom plushie it's gonna be my Grandmaster
Yeah.
centerpiece.
I've only got two of them, so where's the others?
It's my shrine. I'm not giving it
Oh.
to you.
Oh, is it like Egghead? Or Football Head?
Yeah, come on, man.
I am Arthur. Nice.
Arnold.
Arnold, not Arthur. Arnold.
I love you, Zom Zom.
You should watch the movie that came out in 2017.
I'm scared too.
Just do it.
That whisper, I'm scared too.
All right, Purple Horse is here. So, Purple Horse,
Hooray.
you got any questions for us
Yes.
about your
anything in
purple horse?
particular.
Nah.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Nah. Apparently, I uninstalled the Picarto app. But I do have Upflix. Hallie,
Yes, sir.
have you got the Up Dog app?
What's up, dog?
Not much, you.
Da 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 da.
Ah! Allie knew exactly what was happening there.
I love that you just went all in.
Wait, we have the
This
waiting
is
music.
Stream. Oh yeah, turn it on, pump it up. Waiting music sponsored by KT.
How to make her cuter? Oh, then we need a pouty face. She's upset
Pouty
right
face.
now. It needs a pout. So upset is just like, no, do not want this. But pout is, I want this, but I don't want anyone to know I want this.
God damn it. God damn it, Karen.
God damn it, Karen.
Little scrunchy snoot always helps.
Little plushy Spike.
Little blushy blush. Little things like that. I need to look up a pouting face, but
It is an adorable expression.
I like adding wrinkles to the muzzle to really push, like,
Yeah,
especially
the little
pouts and like
scrunch.
frustrated stuff.
Yeah, that definitely works. The little scrunch snoot.
It's like, And if you ever look at yourself in a mirror, like, I know it's hard to take a human face and turn it into a pony expression, but sometimes you just gotta make the face and look at yourself in the mirror. And, like, kind of think of, like, oh, when I'm, like, pouting, my nose kind of scrunches up. So let's scrunch up the muzzle and my eyes go down. It's just like, humph. Harumph.
You could also make her, to add to the scene, when I was in the back of the car and trying to be a pouty, never looked at the person who was, in the passenger seat or driver's seat. They aren't allowed to make eye contact with you. So it's always look out the window.
Good point.
And
You need to boss me, Karen.
You don't want to make eye contact. 'Cause
usually the game
that ruins it.
Totally. That means they're going to break. Or they're going to break you. I don't know how that works.
And then maybe like a little, instead of the ears like up straight, have them pushed back.
And then we could do the CPC suggestion.
Fluff? Of course. all the fluff. Gotta have the fluff. Gotta have my fluffs. Cereal. Yeah. Fluff. But yeah, stuff like that. Adding little details. No, we were being very silly, but yeah, adding like a little Spike plushie, having like the expression have a little more depth to it with like scrunching the nose up, having her stare out the window, and like just that, like, all I can think of is like harumph, like gosh golly, like that innocent anger.
Gotta have puffed up cheeks. Also
Innocent.
experimenting with a more exaggerated expression over here on the back.
She knows what she did.
Super puffed out cheeks. And yeah, you gotta have
The super puffed out cheeks is the reaction I'd make when someone's looking at me when I'm harumph.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Harumph.
Back up.
Does that make sense, Purple?
Expressions is so fun.
If I can make a few suggestions about your approach here, go buy a ream of white paper, first of all, because it's going to save you a bit of awkwardness when you're trying to go over the
Yeah. Don't want
grids.
to draw on grids.
I find it causes a lot of tangent lines that really throw me off while I'm drawing on them, so just white paper is your champion. If you're willing, a nice sketchbook with some nice, like, 60-pound paper. Oh, heavy paper is just my favorite thing ever.
It's just nice to sketch on.
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
And they're cheap, too.
Some of my favorite ones have been from the Tate Modern Museum, which you can get online. and they got such good quality paper.
Sponsored by Tate Modern Museum.
And I have like this really cool little square one, which I've had 2 of. This is the only sketchbook, and I was like, you know what? I filled up this completely, and I really like drawing in it, so I'm actually going to go online and look for it and buy another one. And I did, and it's great.
Oh yeah.
I'm just continuing to doodle the toy up here because I can. Is this like a Philly toy, or is this just her being grumpy?
Twipone. But yeah, the other nice thing about not having grid paper is because, like, a lot of time, especially when you're drawing animals, ponies, cartoons, you're gonna want more organic shapes, and grids tend to make you be more stringent, and you want to like try to do something with the lines on the grid if you find yourself connecting to them or just like trying to rely on them too much. So, like, just plain white paper, it'll help you kind of get that organic flow, in my opinion. Woo!
Did you have any specific more questions for us? And then open up Picato.
There you go. 60-pound paper. I
Oh,
bought
yeah,
a lot of
Strathmore.
these ones.
I
The
love Strathmore.
yeah, the ring binding on it doesn't bind up your paper. It all has perforations down the just beside the rings to pull apart the paper.
The only downside I've ever witnessed is like the first 3 pages will smudge. After that, it's all fine.
First 3 pages. Huh.
Because like they're kind of like loose, considering it's just like ring binding.
All right.
But after
Oh, I
that,
see what you're
the
saying.
pressure of the book kind of holds everything
Yeah.
together.
So I never really thought about that being the reason why stuff smudges, because I've had some smudge problems with my book, but it sort of changes. Some pictures do smudge, some don't. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
They are nice also because they have that very thick hardcover on the back.
Yes. Stable, you know, doesn't bend.
But I mean, you could also just get the hardcover books too. They completely exist. I have a few of them. Burned through most of them.
My little ones are hardcover. I'll take a picture.
You gotta pick up more. I'd usually just buy like artist loft ones. But they're cheap.
I either get the sketching or the multimedia ones, because for the sketching, you usually just can sketch in it. Anything else, so like any pens, markers, well, pens you can do too, but markers, paints, all that'll just, the paper will get destroyed. But mixed media, you can sketch, and if you feel like adding color, it's an option.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next picture then.
Sounds good. We going back to the top?
Yeah.
Awesome possum.
So this one is by Mr. Halo 775, who's now up to 14 karma for me.
Oh yeah.
Because yay, Reddit plugins.
So, if I have to say, the very first thing I noticed is that this is a squished pony. It all feels kind of like, almost if you lassoed the full body and tried to squeeze it a bit, because the head is very oblong, and the body feels very tight, like,
Actually-
even in the front area.
we can give this a go, Allie. One sec.
Are you going to use technology?
I fixed the horse.
Boom! Wow, that actually made a huge difference.
That seriously did.
It really did.
I was kind of joking when I was doing it, but as soon as it started, I'm like, oh yeah, no.
This is the top left one.
Yeah.
Yes, the top left one.
I missed your transformation.
Go back once, or what? I'll just link Fluffy the
Control
original.
Z. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Small?
that's
That
the original.
actually does help a lot.
Oh.
I can see that.
I have to
I almost wonder
reselect.
if it got compressed.
Oh, Z, can you not
while
redo
uploading.
again now?
Yeah, Control Y didn't work.
Oh no. Control Shift Z.
It's not too hard to do again, I'm sure. You had one job, Zom.
And I missed my chance to blow. This opportunity came once in a lifetime.
You really did. Never gonna get it back.
Never gonna give it up.
But yeah, with that, I like. Part of me wants to say that this was probably an uploading error, something compressed your image, because it honest to God looks like this is what the right image should have been.
Totally. And if it wasn't, you're just going to do what we did and call it
Yeah.
right. Unless if your goal was to create a very thin, streamlined horse. And if that's the case, okay, that's fine. Stack, what was our comment? Throw a style tag on it and wander away?
I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's keep talking about this one. They were testing out their inking skills in here. Your ink
Definitely
fu
interesting.
is a good start. It's a good start.
Yes.
You wanna push your ink fu? Go read manga. Go use manga as your source. Why? Because they freaking love to ink in those things, and some of them really heavily use line weights and hatching, not hashing. they abuse that type of inking to really push the images in just this 2D, bring it to 3D, just with simple, well, not simple, sort of complex art skills.
Yeah, and really with any comic book too, like you can go the MLP comics, the artists who do the inkings for them sometimes post just their inked images, and you can really analyze those, and like they do it all with just pen and paper, so it's like the truest of true inkings.
Yeah, you can find it on
really
their
interesting to watch them.
Their DAs will have it.
Yes, their DAs, and on their Twitter they sometimes post videos of them lining, and they like do it in one stroke, and it's like, oh my god, that's what years of practice gets you.
And that being a
amazing.
full-time job.
And,
Yeah.
and maybe a deal with a witch. Deal with a yokai.
So let's talk other things in this picture. We've gone over the inking. It can use some correction, but honestly, I think you'll gain more benefit from studying manga than any simple suggestions we can throw off.
Well, I can give one quick one.
Sure.
Like all this heavy use of really heavy lines, like I'll just circle some areas. Something you can do is that you often see with characters, at least I see this is just one approach to using heavy lines, is that the heaviest lines are actually on the outline of the character to make the character pop against the page, and the thinner lines are found like in the middle. So something like that could be an approach, but honestly, like Zomzom said, like Living Dead said, you look at your references, look at people who ink for a living, comic book, manga. All those people have a plethora of information and reference for how to do successful line art. Yeah.
So I wanna talk your shading or your coloring for the hair. Don't do that. What you did.
Spaghetti hair.
Yeah. I mean, from a start, it looks kind of interesting, and you're like, "Hey, I drew a bunch of strands, coolio." It doesn't ever get you what you're aiming for, and I'm pretty sure I understand what you're aiming for. Yakko, whatever the person's name is.
Vad. I just remember the last part's Vad. VAD.
We're just gonna go to our subreddit and go to those guides because we all have it there.
Yeah.
Just pony breakdowns, shading hair somewhere there. Hair.
Here, there, where hair?
Please still be up. Yes, it's still up.
Werewolves, they're wolves.
Near wolves. It's a naked wolf. All right. This is our like happy guide. You're gonna find this on our subreddit under exterior guides and tutorials. But basically, we're pretty sure this is what you're going for, where you get strands defined in it, but you don't need everything defined. Is the real key in this. So we can see they're just working on strokes and they're just building up and working down, building up and working down. So they start off with the soft, and then work in a few more transitional colors. In this case, it's all grayscale, but transitional. They just keep building it up, and then going into more defined ones. And then with the little touch blurring, they call it done.
And you can even do this with lines still. I know they did it lineless, but you can still keep your lines, but still that's how you build up the texture. It's the same way to build up texture.
And they're lineless. They're totally just using a selection layer, because none of the hair strokes have ever broke free from that shape they made. So they did the base shape here, did a selection substitute. So this entire mane was done up on a different layer, and they just went, everything that's transparent on this layer is not allowed to be touched, and then they built it up.
You can do that with a clipping layer, or you can use what's on that layer to make a layer mask. So either way, there's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always a very helpful way of doing it, because then you get to keep your base main shape. If you need to alter it, use it for a selection, or try again. You've got it for a backup. It's definitely more useful than doing what we call destructive changes.
Anything you do with an eraser. Yeah.
That would be deconstructive.
And if you want to do something more simpler and not have all the little strands, because I noticed you're kind of doing these cartoony shines in the hair, you just need a few strokes goes a long way. Like maybe just get an idea that there's some strokes coming out of the bottom of the hair and maybe out of the top to build the idea that there's hair going on, Just kind of find the flow. You don't need much, and then you can do your shines. And I'd also suggest taking them, if you're doing it one part of the hair, all the part of the hair should get it, because obviously if the shines are coming from this direction, we got this part, and even the tail gets them on top. So make sure to get them all, because they're all hair and they'll all react the same way.
All right, on to the next one.
Sounds good to me.
Hey, look, there's one in frame, depending on how you're
Right
framed.
next to it.
Perfect.
LG doesn't have to do much work.
My life is wonderful. This one is by Prince Leia. Critique? Recommendations?
This is
Super
another
cute.
Reddit.
So they did respond to one of their critiquers, Thunder Echo, and basically Thunder Echo's critique was on a little bit on the front legs being the bend being very sharp, and the thigh is too long. Thanks.
And the hoof is so small.
My tablet's going screwy again.
So yeah, it's kind of a bubbly pony. It looks like it's an inflated toy.
Yeah, with the little lines.
Yeah.
Almost like a stuffed toy or something.
As I was thinking, because those, I wonder what the intention of those was, because like that, it basically gives off sort of like a hairy or small fur sort of vibe. Like it's not as much like what you do to make a pony look like they got a soft coat of fur. It's more like they're a plushie, where it's sort of like jutting off. But I don't know. It's a very obscure thing I've not really seen before.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, you've gotten comments about the size and the angle. The other thing is, I feel like your lines could go further. Like, I see it both with the hoof, the front hoof and the back hoof. I drew in red here an extension of the line, because if we look at where you stopped, that's implying that there is no more bend there. That is just one hulking hammer hoof.
Smash!
I wish I like this whole area, this whole thing is its own object. No bending, no nothing. That's just the object. So by adding overlaps even further in, we get the nice idea that like, oh, the arm in red here, boom boom, goes up and then down. Except, like they said, not at such a sharp angle, so maybe boom. Yeah. And same with the front leg there. You only did so much, so that would imply that the little hoof just comes off the thigh and that's it. It'd be like if I were to illustrate it, it'd be that. unless they don't have a foot there, I would say that is not what you quite want.
Mm. Oh, I see.
What you doing there, Fluffy?
The tail, I realize, is sort of wrapping around the body, but really the center of the back should be about here, looking at how they've drawn it. So if that's not the case, then I apologize, but it really looks like the sort of center of the back is meant to be like here. Even not, it still looks like it's wrapping right around the body. So it looks like it's coming out of their right
The
thigh,
side
basically.
here,
Yeah, like it's coming out of their right thigh rather than from their back. It doesn't have to be exactly as far over as I did it, but that does it would help just to sort of make sure you got like the actual joint here, and then have it wrapping around. The other thing I did was the chin, just sort of looked a bit. It wasn't bad, but I just felt like it could be improved a little bit if it curved upwards. Like it go down for the chin, and then you sort of arc upwards a bit as you go in towards the neck, and then it will continue to go back up again, to the back of the head. It's a bit of a complex curve, but it can work, and of course, how straight and jagged versus how soft and round it is depends on how masculine or feminine you want it to be. But it looks a little bit better than just having a straight, like, round chin going into the neck. But it's worth experimenting. You don't have to follow this rule if you find it doesn't work for you. But play around with it.
Yeah. Other than that, super cute. Love
Yeah.
the eyes. Love the
Super
fluff.
fluffy.
The mane. I love the mane. I understand that this is your fluff. Little
It looks
weird
like
to
it.
me. Just
Looks
because it's like
cottony.
cotton. Yeah.
I think it is just a plushie, but it looks like one.
Yeah. So if you're going for the super plush feel, totally fine. But otherwise, there's just cotton.
Got
in
a
that
lot
horse's
of
ears.
cotton ears.
But yeah, super cute.
Woohoo! So on to the next one.
On to the next one.
We got some traditional, traditional. I love me some traditional.
There's lots of traditional ones in this.
So this one is by Ravioli, and it's another try with watercolor.
Woo.
I love your watercolor. Please do more. Do it.
Yes.
Do it often.
What sort of medium, like, surface were you painting on, I wonder? Because it like the line texture we can see almost makes it look like cardboard, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's just a kind of paper.
140
It's a
pound.
type of watercolor.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually very common, where it's...
Okay. Like I know paper's obviously gonna have a texture. It's mostly because it specifically looks very sort of liney.
Well, sometimes with water paper, there's two sides, a right side and a wrong side. So that's also something to consider sometimes.
Oh.
But yeah,
I
having.
know, I was just wondering. It wasn't even like a problem. You can paint on cardboard if you want.
Yeah. No, I was just.
I was just sort of wondering, so I was curious.
So they're have a few pieces of critique for themselves. They're a bit too afraid of using too much water, and so the fur should have looked much smoother if they applied more water before coloring. They noticed that their head was too oval, and that they should have definitely done that before inking. And inking on rough Aquala paper is not ideal. I've thought of doing line work on different paper, scanning, and then print on the Aquala paper to avoid the problem. Also, the repair brush in Photoshop is really useful for fixing inking errors. Oh, is that why some of these areas around the body have weird white voids?
Yeah, I was almost wondering if the scanner ate some of the color.
Aquala paper sounds like a really cool paper name.
Yes, especially for watercolors.
I gotta say, overall, I really like your picture. It's freaking good. Now, normally I'm the person pointing out ears not being where they should be, like they should always be there. But in this case, I'm going to say the ear shouldn't be there. I know it's freaking heresy, but the face is barely turned and we're getting a full shot of the ear. That means you're placing the ear in the front third region of the head, when in reality it's actually at the back third of the head, at least according to MLP, and according to even your horse right here. We're just supposed to split this head up here. Whoa! How about green on green?
That's a great
It's clever.
idea.
Yeah, so we take this head. You have your front line here. That means your head split here. Oh, look, your ear's in the back third. So we're going to take this, and that means your other ear, if we're just supposed to split that, would be somewhere back here. So in this case, you don't need to draw the second ear. But I do appreciate you appeasing me of drawing the ears. I know that's what you're doing.
It's all for you, Zamzam.
That's what I tell myself every night. I think
I will say. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, the same issue exists with the other wing too. It's too far forward if we compare it to the other wing.
Totally agree.
I think I would just curve it back here. Just give the slight indication that it's doing something, but in reality it's going to be behind the body like that.
Blue. My usual blue's a little bit too hard to see on this picture.
Oh, that main color is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Your watercolors are bold.
Yeah, I remember them talking about how they're worried about doing too much water. I'd say yes, it is something to worry about and think about. But the thing with watercolors to also think about is that you do it in layers. You don't have to color the entire thing in one shot. You know, you start from basically your lightest to then you go to your darkest by the time you're finished. So you kind of do like a wash, get general color over all the areas, let it dry, then go back and get them more in, let it dry, and it's a lot of working in layers and letting dry. And unless you want to do a really really wet blend, then you kind of have to do that all at once. But
So you probably need a lot of patience.
watercolor, get a hairdryer. You won't need that much patience then.
So you got to be careful not to blow the water around.
Then there's definitely too much water on your paper.
I just imagine it kind of could potentially push the little bit of water that's around into a drip as it collects.
I really do feel at
careful.
that point there would be too much water on.
I know, I'm not used to watercolors. That's just what I imagine. That might not be what
Yeah.
happens. I don't really paint.
Yes, I've actually watched that watercolor video. KT in our chat posted a YouTube video, 7 tips of for watercolor beginners.
I should probably watch that.
It's really good. I like this artist in general. I've been following her for a while. She has a lot of really good tips about watercolors and stuff. Because she works with it most of all. That's her like main medium. Kelsey Golden is her name, and the video is called 7 Watercolor Types for Beginners. Tips, not types. Dang it, I thought of it just as you typed it.
Just the tip, Allie.
Just the tip.
And
That's all you need for a brush, right? Just the tip.
You need something to hold it with.
Hey, so are we done this picture?
I think so.
I'd say so.
Okay, because we're getting really off topic
Otherwise,
into
it's
the
great.
loop channels. Come on. Come on. We got more traditional art.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
This time is... I closed it, apparently. Let me find it.
Oh.
Let me find it. There it is. Dreadpone. Need help getting the chest right.
Let's see. Well, my first question, I know you're not in the chat, but my first question would be, are you using references at all? Because the big thing with human anatomy is definitely needing your references. You really can't do anything right unless there's a reference of some kind, especially if you're not familiar with human anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Just you know that thing you're around at all times. No, but
You know,
but
thing
really,
you inhabit from a day-to-day basis. But really though.
you might be a human. You might be around them at all times, but you don't generally study them in that way.
Mm-mm. You may think you know because you stare, but you don't actually know. Until you really stare at a picture as you draw. So for help on the chest, honestly, we could redline this, but I think the best thing would be to look up videos on human anatomy. I know there's so many artists that can explain it better than us, especially how the female body works and how everything's shaped, all that fun stuff, and definitely how to proportion that as well. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head, people who've done it. There's starts with a P. Pronko. I'm
Doesn't sound
blanking.
familiar.
I know someone in the chat knows who I'm talking about. They do a lot of good anatomy stuff. Proco, yeah, Proco. Could not think of their name. Yeah, Proko, Proco. Really great teacher of anatomy. Highly, 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 highly recommend them.
Ah.
Okay. Oh. Their site looks
Sponsor
like
us.
this. Oh, good. It was safe for work. I was worried for a moment.
Yeah, it can.
Maybe
You can get
Arkin.
sort of
That's
risky when it comes to
a lot of butts.
human anatomy.
It's artistic.
I mean, I find enough NSFW looking for references of pony anatomy. This is starting to suck.
Yeah.
The suit jacket looks pretty good. The hat, I mean, everything looks pretty good. She's just not really got shape to her.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some really pointy shoulders. Although, if you have those suit jackets with
pads
the
in. Yeah. Shoulder pads.
If these aren't supposed to have shoulder pads, though, we gotta like sand those corners.
That sounds painful.
Probably. Be careful with how many frayed ends you also throw on her. Twilight normally had pretty smooth hair, even EQG Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to go buck wild on them.
And them spiky spikes.
Yeah, if you're gonna split them, you can split them without making them look like they're frayed and broken. So you can just do like just the ends splitting off into chunks.
Mm-hmm. Usually when something's more long and graceful, it feels like more of a flow of a hair, but when it's like a sudden spike out, usually it's like frayed ends or like really messy, spiky, bed head. It's usually disheveled. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Dishevel? This is my shovel.
Dishevel is over there.
This shovel.
It's a spade.
So yeah, really can't wait to see more art from you. Honestly, references are gonna be your best friend. Go out, you get a view references, study them, do little sketches of them, sketch on top of them too. Get a feel for things, and then sketch next to them, and see if you can, take what you learned from sketching on top of them and apply it to sketching next to them and doing it yourself. But yeah, I'd say we're good to go to the next picture.
Yeah, and I've been sort of doodling, experimenting with body here, but I'm definitely no expert in anatomy. I'm figuring this out as I draw it. So, like, yeah, absolutely look for people more qualified than us in humans. We're all about them ponies usually. Someone is moving their chair.
That was me. All right, on to the next one.
Sounds good to me.
Every time I click back to this app, jeez. All right, this is the last one.
Do the thing where it minimizes itself.
Maximizes in mine right now.
Oh, you don't have it like already maximized?
Well, it is maximized, but my other monitors are bigger than the tablet's resolution, so it tries to set itself to the other monitor size.
Oh.
So this is the last picture we have submitted. If anyone else has any art they'd like submitted, please do it now.
Ali Claw with the love hearts.
I actually totally agree with what Ali Claw is doing.
There's a lot of black dead space. Let's fill that with love.
I mean, even if they're faded, like.
Although,
yeah,
I do feel like, and this is purely 100% my sort of like how I would experiment with this picture, not something that you should do that is right, But I feel like the whole picture is very dark. What I would do, just myself, I would experiment with adding color to this. Maybe sort of like a sort of dark. You could start sort of like quite dark here, and then drift sort of like maybe purpley, maybe like sort of shift towards like more magenta-y. Have sort of a cool color on the outside, and you've got this heart. And on the inside, I don't know if this sort of like, it'd be quite nice if this was like candlelight in the background. So I'd probably sort of like, maybe not actually draw a candle, but make it very sort of like a warm fade going from reds and stuff out here towards the edge of the heart, going more towards oranges and yellows, sort of lightening until you get towards the center. Because then the lighter, you've already sort of done that here. You've got the lighter pink in the middle here, going dark as it goes outwards, and that puts focus on between these two, and that's good. So you'd still be doing that. I'd say make it sort of like a warm candle, light yellows, reds kind of thing, and then on the outside, purples going to blues. So that way you got this nice like separation where the heart is, and it sort of draws attention to it. You got like the contrast between warms and blues, and it would make the scene feel so much warmer and like friendlier. You want it to feel like they're in a happy, warm like situation rather than one that's like cold and like this dark surrounding them. You got the heart already framing it, so don't let the dark come into the heart here. Because that just feels like it's sort of impeaching on their pretty scene. But that's purely just my own idea of experimentation. That's not, you could try that if you want, but it's up to you. You might decide to try something different, but that's just like a suggestion.
That was poetic, man. Don't let the heart come into the dark come into the heart. Poetic.
Art is all about philosophy and poeticness.
I would just thin the heads a little bit. They're quite wide, and it's caused you to sort of stretch out where all the elements are placed. Elements being eyes and ears. So when a head's turned sideways, the eyes are actually almost towards the front of it. I know MLP show sometimes they'll drag that eye off to the side, but if you go look at the new movie, it is often still towards the front because they're just using 3D models and then redoing them over, and it's really nifty.
Pretty.
They abuse 3D models to make sure
That's
everything
cool.
stayed sane. There we go.
I would imagine that would work.
And even if you wanted the heads to be that size in the picture, then make everything else bigger to go along with it. Because, yeah, like Somsum said, this stuff is too small. Like the ears, the horn, even the neck. Like on Bonbon, her neck is far too thin. Like that's her neck size.
She's a candy maker.
Her big head.
She's gonna sample her own treats.
Give her that neck.
I mean, I agree with that. I do feel if I could find a red color, I've been doing all those colors. I feel like the back of her head come out like this, and then go like this. I'm just trying to think about. Oh yeah, actually, go even further down. There we go. Because in especially in the movie, they actually have quite long necks. A lot more than they do in the show, anyway. Which I think it looks cute. But yeah, I'd definitely say as well, just thicker neck. I mean, but Lyra's okay, I think. Is everyone still here? Or I heard a disconnect sound.
Nope, we're all here.
Okay, cool.
All
I was like,
good.
did I drop out or did someone else drop out?
All right, I think that's about it for us. If anyone else has any art they'd like critiqued or any other questions, please ask now. Or
I don't have any stream-friendly art to critique.
we can only do stream.
That's what stream-friendly implies.
We'll give you all a minute or two because we know the stream's got to catch up. If you don't think you can paste it in a minute or two, be like, hold up, I'm just getting the link.
Yeah, because that can happen. That would be very annoying.
We've definitely done it before.
See, I haven't been drawing enough lately. It's a shame. I need to have. I was like, what ones have I done since the last stream? Oh, like 2 pictures. Okay. Not getting that.
I don't think I've drawn anything since the last picture I've critiqued.
I did doodle a pony today in my actual sketchbook, like traditional. So I did traditional. It's like still. It's just like a pony laying down, but it's still very unfit. Maybe for later. Which might just happen in the MLP DS Discord, where you can come and get art critiqued outside of the stream.
Oh yeah.
Me throwing in the segue there. Plug opportunity.
Quick, Zamzam, play the waiting music.
Waiting
Or
music.
plug.
Waiting music. Here it is.
See, we're so fancy now. We have waiting music. And no one can sue us over it. Okay.
It's
Jade.
played and YouTube didn't flag it.
This time, Dino.
I just see him with like a scowl, watching you, 2 fingers pointed. You know that thing? All right. Well, we got no further responses, so see y'all next week. It might be a little odd.
Coming back.
We're gonna hopefully have it. No guarantees.
Try our best.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Wish me luck.
So long.
Bye. Thanks for all the fish.